What's up, everybody, and welcome to Mostly Focused. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan McWhorter, joined by my beautiful co-host, Zach Griffin, Garrett Hunt, and JP Payton.
Hello.
So the reason I chuckled the first time that we didn't use, I realized there's nobody actually manning the camera, and I was gonna be like, "Hey, zoom it in." You know, all right, you know that TikTok guy, like bring it in.
I could technically post.
Yeah, hey, Daddy's home.
Oh,
You know, but no one has socks out tonight. No one has their feet out tonight.
It's
So,
too cold.
It is. It's 6 degrees tonight. Is what it's supposed to be down to. Are y'all leaving your water dripping?
No,
Yep.
bro.
Are you really not?
I'm just.
I actually hooked my hoses
casting
up
lots.
outside today.
Hooked them up.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Hook
No,
your
you're supposed
hoses
to
up?
unhook
I
them.
mean, if you're not
Let them drip
covering,
into the hose, right? I'm just messing
Oh.
with you.
I was like, I have mine covered outside. What are you talking about?
I'm not man enough to accurately answer this question. Let's call Slack.
Yeah, get him in here right now.
Unhook your hoses outside
Yeah,
during
definitely
the
do
cold.
that. Yeah, and make sure all your vents are shut
Yeah.
outside. And if it's real cold like this, not only do you leave the water running, you keep the doors to the cabinets open and stuff like that to get the like extra heat in there. If you want to be real thorough about it. So it's cold. It's snowing in Florida. There's a lot going on. But let me just go ahead and give you the title of this episode. It was going to be Daddy's Home, but JP said he will not.
It was never going to be Daddy's home.
It was a working title.
No.
For me.
You're the
Me
only
alone.
one
Me
that
alone.
thinks that was remotely a possibility.
It's going to be probably mostly daddies because we're mostly focused and we're all daddies. So mostly daddies works. It wasn't going to be mostly dads, but it's mostly daddies because that just fits. That's on brand for us. So
Zaddies.
zaddies. Yeah. Listen, I was introduced to what zaddies were at Walgreens. So were you. Remember, Garrett? That's where we were introduced to zaddies.
Very dark times.
Oh, no, I kind of blacked out at Walgreens.
Man, who was it? I don't care. I saw Serena the other night at Shoe Carnival. I went and bought some new SBs for the trip and Nike skateboards. SB, they're the best. I love those shoes.
I think we got it.
Y'all knew what SBs were
Yes.
just off mention? No.
Are you
That's great.
mansplaining us?
Garrett didn't know. When I said,
didn't.
I know, I could see it in his eyes. He didn't know. Anyway, and it was like so weird seeing anybody now 2 years removed from Walgreens. It's like, hi. So strange. And all I could think about in his head is like, I wonder if you're still the same employee I had at Walgreens. But anyway, sorry for that tangent. So yeah, we're going to be talking about being dads, being daddies, non-sexual, non-sensual, just being daddies to our little girls. Garrett has a little girl. Zach has a little girl. I have a little girl. JP has a little girl. And well, Garrett also has a little boy.
Thank
But
God Tanner's not here because he would just ruin this.
that's why he can't.
Oh,
That's
no.
why we didn't go out of our way to
R.I.P.
make him.
Tanner.
Yeah.
No
That's right.
Lazarus
Why does
event
he have
tonight.
boys?
He has
2 boys.
2 boys.
Yeah.
Too much tea.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, 3 wieners in that house.
Mm-mm.
It's too much. So, and a boy dog, Jack. So 4. Have y'all seen the picture of the monkey?
Yes.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I haven't.
I
Garrett's just
don't
gonna
know
type
what you're
in
talking
monkey
about.
picture
check the
right
chat.
now on Google.
Check the chat.
Well, the last
Picture of the monkey.
the last time Garrett pulled anything up on his computer during it was the smoke
No.
detector name.
Yep. Thank you.
The what?
Smoke detector name. The name we were supposed to bleep out, and he put a smoke detector over it.
But apparently,
But apparently JP didn't do it.
I did. But podcast doesn't.
Yeah, the podcast doesn't have it. Anyway,
This is a great start to this
yeah,
podcast.
this is exactly what we needed. So it's been a month, so we're back with you. Gonna probably be, back to the monthly schedule again. We got it. We should do a
Good.
roadmap. We should do a roadmap like we did for Mostly Film.
Wow, someone should plan this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I came up with the topic.
That's great. I can do the
came
date.
up with the topic.
You did. You're right.
So
You're right.
I've done my
Did you say
part for the
AIDS?
next year.
Yeah, I'll come up with AIDS. No,
I thought you said let's talk about AIDS.
no, I said I can come up with the dates.
Why?
That's
Because
funny.
that
Is that
we
a
can-
joke?
No, to schedule the roadmap.
I was just thinking like the topics, like what we're going to talk about for the rest of the year.
Yeah, but then we can also have scheduled dates too.
Okay. Anyway,
be
That's
wonderful.
fine.
so we're talking about being dads, what it's like to be a dad, what our upbringing was like, what our experience was with like, specifically for all girl dads, like women, like a mother, sister, what that relationship was like, what our experience was with like a biblical understanding of being fathers and parenthood, the pros and the cons of that, if there are any cons or there are any pros for all you God haters out there. And then just kind of reflecting upon all of that and what that all falls into under that umbrella. Have you seen umbrellas? I didn't even think about that. The umbrella, you know what I'm talking about? The
Yes,
spiritual
the whole
umbrella.
analogy.
Yeah. A head.
Garbage.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan. Call me Cal Ottoman. So anyway, let's jump into just the formalities. Garrett, what have you been up to?
Oh, not a whole lot. Same stuff.
Why are you so tired lately?
Why am I so tired lately?
Yeah.
Boys been pastoring.
Yeah, we're just,
Doing the
me and
Lord's work.
Lorelai's getting out of her nap stage.
Oh yeah, we've been out of it.
And so like I nap with her. So I'm also in transition.
Out of your nap stage.
I'm getting out of my nap stage. And
I'm ready for a nap.
Yeah, you have a 5-month-old
Yeah.
and you're going through a sleep regression.
Yeah.
How's
that's
that
rough.
going for you?
I'm fully prepared to go home and get 2 hours of sleep.
My
Wake
man.
up and sleep on a recliner.
You know, you'll be better for it in 3 years.
God, I hope not sooner than that. But we'll see.
But you haven't been doing anything exciting, fun, not done anything.
No, not really.
I mean, Christmas, like holidays, all
Yeah,
that
so
stuff.
there's been so much that's happened since
But
we've been
that-
here.
I
applies to
turned
all of us.
33. We had
Yeah.
Christmas. I mean,
Yeah, you had a birthday, Christmas, New Year, and President all in the
Yeah.
same span since we
It's
recorded
got
got
to
last.
to see my buddy in college get married.
Not only did you get to see him get married,
Louisville.
you did the wedding.
No, that was another person's wedding. So
Oh,
I did my
okay.
first wedding. Wow, you know more about my life than I do.
Yeah, I thought I cue you
This
up
is
to tell
literally
you
the hardest thing for me to do is recall my life.
from the
I'm like,
last few weeks.
You should get that diagnosed.
I'd be like, I need to look at my calendar, see what I did.
Yeah,
There's probably medicine for that.
yeah. It's called not omega. It's like the jellyfish stuff.
Omega-3.
No, that's fish. Oh, jellyfish. Jelly. No, anyway, whatever. Remember Nariva? We used to sell Nariva.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like jellyfish brains or something in it, and it makes you remember things better.
Oh, I'll check out the jellyfish brain.
All right, Zach, what have you been up to? Hopefully something more exciting than Garrett.
Probably not really. Not since Christmas. I mean, January is always a slow time.
Yeah.
for
Hey,
most
did anybody
people.
come to your house on Christmas basically like you dared them to?
I mean, my parents come.
Yeah.
Alexa's parents came.
All of our
to see
parents
us.
did, and that's how we got here.
They did.
It was on track.
Stop it.
Speaking of fathers,
Yes.
no, but I mean, yeah, Christmas was not busy, but
Yeah.
you know, Christmas time was
Mhm.
busy, and so we've had a few weeks of not doing too much here. We celebrated New Year's with our friends like we normally do, and
Mhm.
Hi, I'm friend.
yeah, we actually got
Me, friend.
we got
Hi.
JP and Caitlin to stay up till midnight.
11.
I was going to say, did
No,
you
it
actually
was-
hang till?
it was
Surely it was
11.
midnight by the time you guys got in bed.
No.
No.
Yeah, it was like 11, like on the dot. And
Well-
Caitlin goes, "You guys have 15 minutes to get out of my house."
Yeah.
And we're
Well,
like,
if
"Okay,
you know,
pack it up."
I'm sure you've observed how fast they pack up and leave. It's what they're asking, but you know how fast they leave. I've never seen anybody, especially pre-baby, and we've joked with you about this.
NASCAR pit stop, man.
Yeah,
I
it
get
is
in my car and I'm
amazing how
gone.
fast you guys get
I'm
out and
efficient,
go.
man.
And even with June, I remember the first time, I think it was El Torito we had left, and me and I'd be like, let's see how fast they get in and out of here now. I hadn't even opened my door to my truck yet, and they're gone. I was like, they just threw June in the back, and they just left.
Part of it is that JP never wears shoes that he has to tie.
Yeah.
Like they always slip on.
Oh, me
he
too, but
he
I
just
wear- like Garrett's shoes he has on right now, those are technically tie shoes. I haven't tied a pair of shoes in forever. I just tuck the shoelaces in inside the...
slipping on high tops is insane.
That's pretty insane.
Wow.
Well, I don't have my own pair of high tops. I'm saying like a
Oh,
lace
see,
Oh,
so
okay.
just like Garrett's shoes, but
His
not.
Well,
dainty
just
feet.
because they lace. I just tuck my shoelaces in. I don't like to see shoelaces. They
Does
stress
this
me out.
bother you?
No, on my
Your
shoes. I don't care
shoelace?
about your shoes.
I
My
tuck my
shoes.
shoelaces as well.
My
I
man.
hate to see them.
Me too.
Even on my low
But I
cut
don't want
Vans.
them to be. I don't want them to be like. There's no good way to say this, so I apologize ahead of time. I don't want them to be like ethnically braided either. You know what I mean? Like
No.
No,
They're shoes.
no,
no, like the cornrows. You know what I'm talking about?
no.
Garrett's following me.
No, I'm just. Like straight across on the.
Yeah, like where people like bypass the tucking.
etnies.
Yeah, skater shoes. That's not.
Oh my gosh.
That's right. Etnie braiding would be better.
Instead of
Dude,
etnie, he
I
said
did that.
ethnic.
Yeah, I meant etnies.
Jesus.
I owned it. Did you own a pair of etnies?
I did.
I did.
I
Black.
did not own a pair
Black
of
with the
etnies.
white E.
Oh yeah, I checkerboarded them too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, you didn't because the laces.
No, I didn't care then.
Oh my
I had
gosh.
What a
those.
hypocrite.
I had those, and I had a checkered wristband. I used to wear too with a studded checkered belt. So how about
Man.
that?
We were tryhards.
We were.
Couldn't
Dude,
even do a
such
kickflip.
tryhards.
Anyway, what else?
That's about it. Nothing super exciting.
We got rid of the dog.
Okay, yeah. And so publicly, you can't ever shame me again. So
Yeah. One time, we've kept Luna for over 10 years. She just celebrated her 10th birthday.
The man has a dog now, though.
Yeah, it's his 5th dog.
no.
He's put down the other 4. Instead
Listen.
of rehoming them, he just puts them down.
Garrett, we'll fight these allegations. It's okay.
It's only had to put down one dog.
It's like only one.
It's Jeffrey Dahmer with dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wild.
Anyway, it was just, she was the best dog, but it just, which was wrong season. Life for a big dog.
Mhm.
We know. When Luna crosses over the Rainbow Bridge, we'll see what happens. Other than that, Mario Kart. I got Disney this weekend, so I'm real freaking amped up about that. It's the Festival of the Arts, and I'm trying octopus for the first time. One of the booths at Epcot has charred octopus.
Oh, it's amazing.
I can't wait. It's one of the weird foods I haven't. They have squid ink pasta, so I plan on diving into both of those things.
I'll try some squid ink pasta.
Octopus is like one of the go-tos for me. It's always good.
Actually, I've never been anywhere it offered, and I have I like to try different
you can get
things.
octopus nigiri at Tokyo Sushi.
Oh, I've never just thought about it.
It's
Listen,
delicious.
boys, we're already 10 minutes into this podcast. We need to move on.
Anyway, I've been real big into my gaming phase right now. I've been playing Indiana Jones, Star Wars Outlaws, Marvel Rivals, and Epic Mickey Rebrushed. It's been a great time. Being a dad is awesome. Violet's at like this golden age stage right now. We made it 8 nights in a row without an act P in the night. I was pretty freaking excited about that. So maybe after Disney, we switched to panties for bedtime. So, we're making some progress. And lastly, I think last time we recorded, I talked about my anal issues.
We talked about that on pod.
Yeah, I did. I interrupted the podcast and said, "Have y'all ever had itchy butt?" I went back and watched it to see.
You did say that, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I have fixed said issue with change of diet. Who knew?
Wow.
Who knew?
A medical professional would.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was a hemorrhoid, so I treated it with dude wipes and Tux pads and all this kind of stuff. And then I was like, you know what? For a month straight, I started taking multivitamins and upped my protein and changed my diet. Hey, wow, my anal health is much better. So I don't know a better way to say that. Anyway, JP, what have you been up to?
Just not say it at all.
That's a very good way to say it, yeah. Yeah, beat that, JP.
Yeah, one up that.
Yeah.
Much less than that. So I'm just gonna leave it there. I've been good.
You've been good.
I'm ready to go to bed.
We, just to give him, I'll say something on his behalf. We are back into mostly film, and he chose the first part of our roadmap. We're doing anime essentials that he's picked out. So we've watched 4. How many do we have? We're doing 10 total. So we have a couple of weeks left of that after we got from Disney. So if you haven't watched mostly film, do that. We actually have a full proper roadmap geared out for that. So you can go watch it and see that. So
Ooh, I did go see my first horror movie in
you did.
theaters.
I was hoping you were going to bring this up.
I should have. I remembered now.
And what was it?
Nosferatu.
And out of 5, what would you rate it?
4.5.
My man.
Ooh, yeah.
I gave it 4, but yeah, it's
4.5, something like that.
nice.
I spoil all the jump scares for myself.
Smart.
Just because I hate that.
The worst
but
jump scares in the opening minutes for sure.
Mhm.
But did you see it? I can't remember. You
I've
didn't
not seen it yet,
Okay.
but it came out today, I think.
Yeah, I've seen people
Okay,
talking
you
about the
can rate
digital
it,
codes.
I think today. I think you're right.
It's not near as spicy as people made it out to be. They're like, this is a gothic porno. It's not really. So you feel free. So, all right, let's jump into it now. Girl daddies, is as some may call us. Who wants to start? So I kind of want to just hear just initial reaction, how you felt when you found out you were having not just a kid. I mean, you can talk about that, but like a girl.
When I found out that we were having Lorelai, obviously I was very excited, and I wanted a girl. That's what I was hoping for. That's what I've.
Why?
I was wanting to have like just this little daddy's girl, you know, and she's a wild monkey. It's insane.
It's like, and now I regret it.
Yeah, but I was super excited to find out we were having a girl and have my prayers answered that way. And when we were trying to come up with her name, it was like we looked at a few names, can't remember what they were, and then I believe Leslie like went to bed and she woke up, or you know, we just like settled on the name Lorelai. We're like, that's it. You know, like that's going to be her name.
What's her middle name?
Catherine.
With a K?
With a K, yes.
After my sister.
No, not after your sister. Dang it.
Change it now.
You know what? Yeah.
Text it, get out of here.
Yeah.
Messing up the outline over here.
Actually did,
I was
like,
watching
write
it,
a whole
like,
bunch.
that's why I paused. Like, wait a second, what's going on in the notes right now? And you had a scare though. This is not part of the notes, but y'all thought something bad might happen.
Oh, well, I mean, that was during birth, not like anything.
Yeah, in the womb.
Yeah. So when like Leslie gave birth, Lorelai swallowed some of her meconium coming out. And so like she came out, they put her on the little thing over there and pat her down and stuff. And they set her on Leslie's chest and she wasn't making any noise. And as soon as they set her on a chest and she didn't make any noise, they grabbed her and took her out. And we were like, what's going on? And so I actually have a picture of her on my phone. It's crazy because her oxygen levels were at like 75% or something like that. And she had this line that started from her forehead all the way down, you know, to her private area. And one side was like this real dark purple hexagon looking stuff. And this other side was like light pink. She was like completely divided in half. And
Like a Pokemon?
yeah, she was evolving. Real early too. Didn't even give her rare candies or drop the egg off at the old.
Well, the egg was dropped off a long time ago.
Oh my God.
Hey, yeah, why don't you walk me through that? Walk me through conception.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to show me?
Yeah. No.
I was going to say, he's got a whole video of the process.
That's crazy. I lost my train of thought.
I have another joke about that comment too, but I won't make it.
That's good. That's good. You're unhinged.
Anyway, yes, she survived.
Yeah, we survived. Had to go to Norton's in Louisville for a while. Well, for a week.
Yeah, you had a very benevolent boss who let you take all that time off.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for my employer.
So you had Lorelai during COVID.
Yeah.
2021?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was its own
Was
experience.
it March? February, March?
March 9th, 2021. Yeah, no one could come in. My mom actually sat out in the parking lot the entire time waiting for Lorelai to be born.
Yeah, she literally sat out there with her keyboard blaring worship music the whole
She
time.
might have been.
Just kidding, she didn't.
But she sat out there and then they pretty much whisked Lorelai to Baptist, and from Baptist they went up to Louisville. And so it's such a weird feeling because you go into the hospital expecting to walk out with your kid and you don't. So
He just kept updating the notes while you were talking about your opening here.
oh, okay.
So Zach, briefly, the emphasis on briefly.
I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm just trying to produce a podcast.
What were your initial thoughts of having a girl?
I also, from the moment, we decided to have kids, that I knew I wanted to have a girl. I actually wanted to have twin girls,
Mhm.
like to start.
Like to be done? Did you just want to have twins and be done?
Well, that was part of it, but I actually did want twin girls. And of course, Alexa was praying that we didn't.
Yeah.
So, but
Understandable.
we ended up, finding out we were having a little girl. And it's funny though that we both wanted, obviously you would have loved both, but I think both of us wanted a little girl, but we only had boy names picked out.
Mhm.
Boy names are way easier. than
See,
girl
I'm the
names.
opposite. We have such a struggle trying to figure out if we had a boy, what we'd name a boy.
Yeah, no, I knew what I would name a boy for like several like years before. But we eventually settled on Ella, and then her middle name is Ray, which is Alexa's middle name.
Mm-hmm. Oh dang. Yeah, I remember you showing
Yeah.
me. I forgot about that. That's crazy.
Ella also had a bit of a traumatic birth. When Alexa would go to push, Ella's stats would drop.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she was actually born, she was born like they were prepping the OR
Mm-hmm.
for like C-section.
Mm.
JP knows he was there. It took forever. Labor was like 22 hours.
It was a long night.
Yeah. And
We were good friends.
That's above and
We were
beyond
young,
right there.
young and naive.
Yeah.
when she was actually born, she was double wrapped with her
like the
umbilical cord.
yeah.
So like she came out, she wasn't making any noise, similar to what you were saying. They cut the umbilical cord, they took her over there and laid her on the table, and Alexa's like, what's going on? Because she had already had a really bad experience. And they're like, she's fine. She's just holding her breath. And sure enough, you heard the cry after a few minutes or after a few seconds.
Feels like minutes.
Yeah, it felt like forever. I was a nervous wreck. Alexa still gets mad at me about eating all of her ice. All you can eat are the ice chips.
Yeah.
While you're actually there. No, I was going in on the ice chips. She got
You're just
like
nervous eating
she
ice
got,
chips?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
got like maybe one bite.
Yeah.
But we decided after that though that we were going to stop at 1. So we just have Ella. She is 7 going on 8 in
It's
April.
crazy.
So
It's crazy. For me, I always kind of wanted a boy. But the moment Abby told me, or we found out we were having a girl, I was immediately like 100% in. Like, I didn't have like that. Oh man. Like I kind of thought I genuinely thought I would, because I really wanted a boy. But the moment I found out it was a girl, I just like wept. I was like, this is the best news ever. And now that I have a girl, I want another girl. I mean, part of me, I guess deep down wants a boy, but like it's now really kind of, I want another girl. I love being a girl dad. It's the best thing ever. She's amazing. Her name's Violet Grace. Well, middle name's Grace. We call her Violet Grace. Middle name is Grace, but we just call her Violet Grace.
Oh, after Jesus?
Grace, yes. Yeah. Actually, it's Abby's sister's middle name. But yeah. Violet was easy. We always had the name Violet picked out forever. So easy peasy
from The
there.
Incredibles.
Absolutely. She has a Violet Funko Pop. But no.
The color?
Yeah. The flower. How many more you got?
I don't know.
You named her after Lorelai's color?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The color she was born in. Because she ate poop.
Yeah, that's crazy. Her first boyfriend, I'm going to be like, Lorelai, first thing she ever ate was poop.
Yep. I made that joke once I found out she was okay. She's older. I'm going to tell her she has to wipe that, eating grin off her face. I'll be like, literally,
She'll probably punch you in the mouth.
She might. She would now, I think.
She's
definitely
not
would now.
insane, but anyways, JP.
But yeah, so I was super excited to have, I wasn't finished. I was
sorry, my
almost
bad.
done. I got like 6 minutes to go compared to yours.
You asked me about my child's
You did.
birth.
This is poor form on you as a host.
I know. Listen,
He yelled at me because of you in all caps.
he did 60 times.
Yeah.
No, being a girl dad's the best. I was super excited to be a girl dad, thrilled to be a girl dad. That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I found out when Caitlin found out she was pregnant. I just gut feeling I knew it was a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it was confirmed, it was just like this, like, okay, like mentally you just kind of prepare yourself for everything that is going to come with it. And, it's just been like, we've had a lot of grace for it. I feel like,
Violet?
yes, Violet Grace.
Yeah.
She's been around for, yeah.
Did any of y'all have any like fears and anxieties around having a girl once you found out it was a girl? I mean, beyond the natural. I mean, I had like I have a penis. I don't know what to do with wiping terrified me out the gate. I was like,
No, I didn't have any issues.
oh man, I did. I was scared. I was like, this is scary to me.
I wasn't worried about like taking care of her in that area, but I'm more worried about when she gets older.
Oh, yeah.
That's the part that freaks me out because I know
Less her, more about my sanity. like
Yeah.
and my fears. Like I've never, y'all know me well. I'm not an anxious person. I don't have anxiety or anything like that, but I have anxiety about my future anxiety when Violet's older. And if she's anything, I hope she's nothing like me.
Yeah.
So
We all hope that.
yeah, we pray. That's my nightly prayer.
I mean, I had like concerns, but that was all pre like birth. I feel
Mhm.
like whenever she was here,
She's singing.
I don't know. It just kind of I would say felt natural, but it just made sense. And I feel like the mindset's a little bit different for a girl than a guy when it comes to, being a dad.
Yeah, I think girls are a lot I don't have a boy, but I feel like girls are a lot easier up until they hit puberty basically. And then I think it kicks into flip flop where boys have the easier, probably teenage years than girls.
Leslie
do.
Leslie would just disagree with you because she's like, Leo was so easy and Lorelai is the opposite of easy.
That's first and second kid. That's less than the second kid's always makes you wish you'd stop.
But you're the only one that has, he's your son, he's your stepson.
Yeah. He just turned 4 when I came into his life.
Yeah. But you've been around for what, 5, 6 years? Yeah. Now. So you've witnessed most of it.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's just what you should tell her the real difference is Lorelai's your seed. That's why.
Yeah. She's got she's so ornery. And my mom would be like, yeah, that's you.
Oh,
that's you right there.
Of all things, Miss Phelps came into the store the other day. I was like, Rebecca Phelps, best marketing teacher I ever had. And
really?
Yeah, we got to talking for a minute. She goes, you still hang out with Garrett all the time? I was like,
no, she didn't.
I swear. I was like, sure do. I told her I even plugged Mostly Focused.
Oh my goodness. Sports entertainment marketing.
Yeah, sports entertainment marketing. I took fashion marketing. It's great. Just played Halo.
Just Halo on the
computer.
video iPod. We just plug it in. You could use it as a hard drive and install it on all the other computers.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Cool.
All right. Sorry. Anyway. All right. All of our upbringings. I was just going to spoil it.
Yeah.
You have 2 married parents, married your whole life.
Yes.
Same with me. Same with you.
Yep.
Garrett, you did not. So I'm going to start with you on this because you're the odd man out here.
Don't cover the mic. It's loud.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with you here in terms of like family dynamics, like what your family structure was growing up. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So my mom and dad split when I was probably like 10 months old. Split, all that kind of stuff. Dad hasn't really been in my life. Not a whole lot.
Is his name Mark?
Patrick.
Yeah.
But we've recently actually just started kind of just texting again here and there. So, we'll see. But family structure, my mom was a single mom. I was a single child. She had me when she was 19 years old. And, growing up, it was difficult in a sense of like, she worked all the time trying to take care of me. And we moved around a bunch, her switching jobs and everything like that. And, when you're single, you're still dating and stuff like that. And, I would meet some of my mom's boyfriends and some of them were cool. Some of them were not cool. All that kind of stuff. I had a grandfather. Grandma was kind of like the rock of everything. So that was like my family dynamic was me, my mom, grandma, and grandpa. My uncle, he lived somewhere in Indiana. And that was about the extent of my family.
What was with that being kind of, a village kind of mentality? How was your culture dynamic? Like, was it strict? Was it laid back? Was it?
Oh, it was pretty laid back. I wouldn't say it was super strict, but we watched Austin Powers. It's pretty laid back, I hear some of the songs now that I used to listen to. I remember burning them on a CD and then listening to it in my mom's car on the way to school. And it was like Crazy Bee by,
Buck Cherry.
Buck Cherry. I heard that. And I was
So you were into butt rock like way before.
Oh yeah,
you got
were.
older.
Yeah. That was like our bonding thing.
Yeah.
It was Animal I Become.
That was it.
3
dude.
Days Grace, man.
I think I had that CD.
Oh
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dude, one side tangent, real quick. I was talking to this 20-year-old the other day at work, and I was explaining, like, yeah, we used to, I was just talking about burning CDs, and she was like, what do you mean you burnt a CD and gave it to somebody? I was like, what do you
with a
mean? What
lighter.
do I mean?
Sculpted it.
Yeah, she was so confused. I was like,
Just lit with
no,
a
like
rock.
you would burn songs onto a CD. She goes, with what? And I was like, oh, it took me a minute to realize what she couldn't get past the burning word. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm old.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Anyway,
Yeah, no. But it was pretty laid back.
like your
You know.
whole upbringing up until like you were kind of an adult kind of thing, or like
Yeah.
not adult, but like high school age.
Yeah, I mean, my mom, she gave me that like respect in a sense, especially when I got older and was driving and stuff. Like, I'll trust you if you follow these rules. And, you know, I followed the rules pretty well.
Except for your birthday party where the police came.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't even my doing, but, you know,
I mean, it was your party.
it was a foreshadowing of things to come.
Well, he pulled over because there were blowjobs on the side of the road being
Yeah,
simulated.
but that was James Royster and
Gabe Fowler.
was that Gabe?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Josh were right there watching it. That's how I was like, oh, there's a cop. And I was like, I'm going to go ahead and go now because he passed. And sure enough, those lights turn on and come back. It's like, yep, I'm out of here.
That's crazy. Yeah. But no, it was pretty lax, pretty laid back, you know.
And you said you were an only child, but did you have any, like, specifically since we're all girl dads here, since Tanner didn't come, did you have any like female cousins, or was it just your mom and your grandma, the only like female presence in your life?
I had a cousin that I knew a little bit. Her name's Ashley. And then when I lived with my dad for about a year, when I was 10, I have a half sister named Jordan, which I still talk to her quite a bit, but there was never enough of a relationship there, you know, to really like have a viewpoint of what it's like to grow up with a girl, you know.
Right. Because we'll touch on that a little bit more in a second. I just didn't know what your sphere was of that. All right, Zach.
Like you said, my parents have been married for, 30 plus years. Both sets of my grandparents were married for over 50 years. And so growing up, I had a brother, a younger brother. And so I didn't have any like, female siblings or anything, but I had my mom, my aunts, my grandmothers, and then, lots of female friends and female pastors and all this kind of stuff. So I had a lot of good influence, male and female growing up. So that, having good, leadership and people that love you, constantly around you, kind of, it does help shape you in a way that, it prevented a lot of things, and it spurred me into being hopefully a good person now that I'm older.
And we're all in our 30s.
So,
that's the other thing. Yeah. Yeah. Similar for me. My parents have been together for 30 plus years. I guess I don't know when their anniversary is, but over 30 years.
You don't know when your parents' anniversary is?
Bro, no. I'm good to remember birthdays.
When's my birthday?
Last week.
Amen.
Anyway, dude, I don't know anybody's birthday. That's what the beautiful thing about Facebook.
May 17th?
Nope. May 14th. You're close though. You're close.
Well, I'm January 14th, so we can remember that.
That is actually much easier to remember now. Can y'all be 14th birthdays too? Can I just celebrate them on the 14th of a different month? I can remember that. Anyway, yep, my parents were together, always have been together. My dad's parents were together until they died, and they died like 2 years apart because I'm convinced it was technically an aneurysm, but broken heart. But, anyway, I have a little sister. She's a year and a half younger than me. Catherine, she goes by Kate now, but I still call her Catherine. I'll never call her Kate. Love you, but it's Catherine always. Catherine with a K. We were super, super close young. Not so close in high school because I'm getting into semantics here. We had like a roller coaster. We were really close young. She was like one of my best friends. And then, I got old and was too cool for my little sister. And then I wanted my sister. And then once I got to like college, my sister wanted to hang around me and be around my friends and stuff like that, which I thought was cool, till she kind of started talking to one of my friends. That wasn't cool anymore. And then we got older and moved on. Now we're in a good, healthy relationship. You know, good. She just moves all over the U.S. with her husband. So I'm really bad at long distance relationship. Just natural fatal flaw of me. If any of y'all move away, I'm bad at communicating far away. So just a heads up.
We're dead to John. As far as
R.I.P.
As far as you're concerned, if we move,
it's so hard for me to remember to stay in touch with people. So it's not personal, just whatever. But anyway, yeah. I grew up, and then being a preacher's kid, I was surrounded by women, and not mean it that way, but you know, I grew up seeing women serve in the church and preach, and then my grandma was a preacher, so I got to see the servant side of it and the leadership side of it. And then obviously kids church was like in youth group were my identities. So I mean, church was like an identity to me. So had different layers of different women in my life who were like rocks of the faith and like basically spiritually adopted grandparents and parents and siblings to me. So I had a very, very wide, and a ton of cousins too that were girls. So I say all that to say I had a very wide net casted out for female influence in my life, that whether it's subliminally or just outwardly has shaped in how I interact and view women as a whole. So
hello there.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Yeah, my parents married 35 years, and you know, outside of my mom, you know, that I have a sister who is, you know, growing up, we were very close, still very close. And you know, it was one of those things where I was always happy to be, you know, hang out with my sister, but that you hit that point, and because she's just a couple years younger than me. By the time she got into high school, I was like, okay, I gotta distance myself a little bit because all my friends. So no, thank you.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of protection, but also
I wouldn't say I was very protective of my sister.
But yeah, other than that, when I was younger, my mom worked. My mom worked at the hospital, and so my grandma really helped raise me a lot, and my sister just growing up, because she was just the one that took care of us. My dad works, you know, swing shifts, and mom work at the hospital, and so it was just one of those things. So those were probably I had aunts and cousins that we were all really close with as well. Yeah, I mean, pretty well integrated, you know, life with a female presence, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just kick it back to you then. So having a sister and having a mom in the picture, how did both of those, because those are different, unique relationships, how did they kind of shape and influence your relationship into parenting? It doesn't have to be profound.
No, I think it's more like quality time. I think, you know, it's easy to kind of lump things up with just like love languages and stuff, but like the time and the type of parenting that I want to have, like I wanted to be intentional, and not even because that's what was always given to me. Like sometimes you learn these things just out of maybe sometimes the things that you lack or some things that you want to do better by. And, you know, I always want to be intentional, and present, and, you know, understanding, especially for, you know, a woman. Like, I don't know, they want to be understood. Mm-hmm. And so that patience that
also
goes
want
with
to be heard.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
What was that?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
So when I was thinking about this, when you gave me the notes, and I was looking over it all, and this one really stumped me because, I mean, yes, I had a good relationship with my mom, good relationship with my sister, and, you know, family and friends and church stuff. But what I kept coming back to was my dad.
Yeah.
Because, and as a father, I kept coming back, like, what did my mom and my sister, how did they influence me? I kept circling back to how did my dad treat them, and how did the men in my life treat the women in their life? And that to me, and me and Abby actually talked about this the other night unrelated to this, about, you know, she said something, she goes, you know, it just dawned on me that you grew up seeing your dad be this way, and now I'm realizing that because your dad acted this way. Not like it was a positive, not a bad thing. Like I just never realized it, that is your dad in you. And like looking at this, I was like, that is my, you mentioned your aha moment was because I had a mom, in my life and present, a sister in my life, same age too, roughly. And Audrey's the same age as you, like a year and a half, 2 years younger, right?
She's 3 years younger than me.
So, but still in that, familiar stage. You're not like 8-9 years apart.
No.
Being able to see my dad respect, love, and also navigate hardship, and, the rebellious years of my sister, the needs, my health issues, and like, sickness and in health with my mom. My mom went through a lot of different health issues and stuff like that when I was younger, and just the stress of life. I think those things in combination have been so invaluable to how I've parented, seeing how my dad was able to interact and love my mom and my sister. And that to me has carried up so much more into my relationship with Violet.
Yeah. And my parents too, they weren't necessarily like strict, but they were, if that makes sense. They weren't necessarily overbearing. I was just the type of kid that just kind of knew what was kind of expected because of the precedent. And, my mom can be a little overbearing in some areas.
Yeah.
But understanding a lot of that just comes out of concern, like rightfully so. And so I think having a kid, having a daughter, I want to be more, like I said, understanding, but giving more context to just being understanding. It's just, I want to have faith and trust in my child until they've done something that would absolutely say, okay, you got to earn this back with me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't answer that. My parents were like,
oh, we know your parents
strictly laid back.
Yeah.
Like they were strict. Well, that strictly laid back just means super laid back.
Yeah.
They were strict about certain things like content and what I consumed and stuff like that. But they were also shockingly not like head in the sand, which is funny for 90s charismatic kind of people because they were very much head in the sand kind of people as a whole movement.
Oh, we know Lynn's worldly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The most worldly man I know.
Fleshly Lynn, that's what they call him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. His name's not actually Lynn. He had a Damascus Road moment. His name's Douglas. And God changed that. He's like, you go by Lynn from now on. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter and SpongeBob and stuff like that. And
Pokemon?
No, Pokemon Pocket Demons, man. Couldn't do that.
Dude.
But most of the stuff they did was like media wise, not like experience wise, if that makes sense. Like I had a very normal, and they didn't like freak out if I watched Pokemon or Harry Potter at somebody's house. They were like, you're not doing it here, but we can't control other people's kids now. They start giving you alcohol.
Or Charizards.
Yeah. They send you home with Pokemon straight to hell. Straight to hell. But no.
God's plan.
No, yeah, that was my upbringing. Like I said, my dad is the kind of the biggest factor into all of this in terms of my mom and my sister and how they correlate. But
you guys know my parents. They're very loving and affectionate people and just great all around people. I will say though that my brother and I have the same age difference as JP and Audrey do. So about between 2.5 to 3 years apart. And with that, if you have two siblings, I feel like it typically plays out to where one is like one parent and the other is like the other parent. I am much more like my mom.
Yeah, I'm definitely my dad.
Than my dad, and my little brother is much more like my dad than my mom is. And so, like, obviously my dad is, affectionate and loving and gentle and all that kind of stuff. But I tend to I always tended to gravitate toward doing stuff inside with my mom and that kind of thing.
So you were a Martha.
I would say more like Jacob versus Esau.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I'm not gifted for the farming or the fixing.
Evan's definitely an Esau.
Yeah. I'm not gifted with the farming or the.
No, me neither.
Or the fixing things. I
have inside hands, baby.
Yeah. I'm not handy. I enjoy cooking and none of these are strictly feminine versus masculine things. It's just, I was more like my mom growing up. And while that's, the opposites are great, if you're married, it tended to lead to, I had more friction with my dad than my mom. And, but, through all of that, I never once, kids have friction with their parents. That's just part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you would say in your parental dynamic that your mom was more of the safe place for you as compared to your dad? Because that was kind of the case for me. Like,
yeah, kind of
similar situation. My dad, knew how to do anything,
it's
fix
weird,
anything.
though, because like I've never felt like I can share one thing with mom that I can't share with dad.
Sure. Yeah. No.
But like, if I'm going to come and talk to, like a girl that I liked or something like that, I tended to go with mom because I wanted that kind of like that understanding. And at the, growing up, I felt like my mom always met that need more than my dad. But my dad now, I feel like is, just as qualified to help have those conversations and stuff. And we laugh about this now, how much, I'm just like mom and Devin's just like dad. But when it comes to influencing my parenting,
great circle back.
Yeah. I agree with what you said of like seeing how my dad treated my mom all those years was, that helps. I know what it takes to have a healthy marriage. I know what it takes to raise kids that, have freedom and are, still have high expectations out of them. My parents were never like overtly strict about anything. My dad took me and Devin to see
strip club,
a bunch of like PG rated 13 movies.
My dad walked out when he took me and my sister to go see Clock Stoppers. Do y'all know what that is?
No.
It's a Nickelodeon.
The story is great.
Yeah.
Rated PG. And they said, I think it was crap or farts or sucks or something like that. Like 2 times. I remember the first time I was like, put his jacket on. The second time it happened, he goes, all right, kids, we're going. He goes, Jonathan, you can buy a video game at EB Games in the mall. And Catherine, you can get a Polly Pocket or something. So he took us to McDonald's and I got Spyro the Dragon, which in hindsight,
good game.
Great trade-off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great trade-off.
Great trade-off.
Sorry. Anyway.
But like, dad would take us to see all the Star Wars movies as they came out and all this kind of stuff. And then one of my favorite stories is, they never bought us a game system. Devin and I always saved up and bought systems ourselves. And one day dad was like, let's go get you a new video game for you. We had just bought a PlayStation 2.
Yeah. Oh,
and he was like, no rated T games. We're going to do just E. So we walk into Circuit City of all places.
Circuit City, yeah.
Walk into Circuit City and we go over to the video game section. And my dad, I'm 100% the truth, picks up a Star Wars game off the shelf, rated teen. He goes, "Oh, this is awesome!" And then like throws it in the cart, and like we left with that rated T Star Wars game because he was like, "This is awesome! I want to watch y'all play it." And so we never had like hard and fast rules about music, about movies.
I did. I had to literally sneak. Yeah, like up until like middle school. No, high school. I had to sneak secular music in the house. So secular music was a no-no. I remember the first time my girlfriend at the time was like 11 or 12. 12. I was 12. And my girlfriend was in high school when I was in 8th grade. And she burnt me the simple, I was at a private school. She was at Marshall County. She burnt me the Simple Plan, Still Not Getting Any album.
Romeo Juliet over here.
Before I went on a cruise because she wanted me to think about her while I was on the cruise listening to this album. And my dad was like, of course you can give it to him. And then the moment it got in my house, he gets his CD Walkman, takes it, and he goes, I'm going to listen to this while you go to bed at night. So he listens to it and then marks off the songs I can't listen to. So first songs I skip to.
Yeah.
Why did he mark this out? I can't listen to this.
In high school, I vividly remember my dad, I don't know, something was brought up about music because like in the car and stuff, we never like just exclusively listened to Christian music. Dad played all kinds of music for us that he enjoyed.
Oh no, not so in my house.
Something was brought up about music and I kind of like asked him, I was like, you never were strict with me about that. And he was like, if listening to secular music was the worst thing you did, he was like, I've done my job. And so we never had, I had Pokemon cards and my parents may not have liked it, but they were never like, you have to get rid of them or you have to get rid of your secular music or, when you can't go to a friend's house because their parents drink or anything like that. I've talked about this before. My parents never drank, but they didn't raise me telling me that it was like it was sinful or anything like that. It's just their choice. And so parenting wise, I like that for Ella. Mm-hmm. I don't want to, we were in the car the other day and she was singing some worship song that we sang at church on Sunday. And then she immediately went into Still Into You by Paramore. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's...
In some circles, they're so Christian.
I was like, that's the perfect, I want to say balance, because I'm not trying to force one way or the other. She has some autonomy to choose what she's, what she likes, what she doesn't like, without me having to. I mean, obviously we don't give her free reign on YouTube. You know, she has YouTube Kids. She watches shows designed for her and that kind of thing. But yeah, when she's older and she's like, I want to go see the new Jurassic Park. Heck yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Same. I mean, now I did have a little bit of concern the other day because Violet goes, cut my wrist and black my eyes. I was like, cut my wrist. She didn't do that. But that's one of the CDs my dad saw that I found in and listened to the lyrics, and he's like, no. I can only imagine my dad because he kept screaming. You should have pranked
him coming out of your bedroom with black eyes and bloody wrist.
Oh well,
Dad,
well,
I listened to the song.
He took it without me knowing. He took it one night, put the CD Walkman on in his recliner, and read the lyrics. I just wish I could have been a fly on the wall, seeing his eyes going, cut my wrist and black my eyes, and he hears, like, this is demonic from the gates of hell. But
you see him the next morning, he has black hair and a swoosh going down over half his face.
You've invited this demon into the house.
Look what it's done to me.
Well, I had gotten a haircut in 8th grade because I had a fro, and I gave the haircut lady, she was an Asian lady in Paducah named Joe, a picture of Matt Thiessen from Reliant K. And I said, I want my hair to look like this. She butchered it. And I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music. Screamo Christian was barely allowed because my dad couldn't argue with the lyrical content. So like Blindside, Demon Hunter, Emery, those were like Under Oath. Those were my jam. So my dad was in a leadership meeting with Zach Strong because my dad, he was on like the board of my dad's trustees, and I always say his name because that's the only one you would know. And David Parrish and JT Parrish and people like that at the church. And I get home. I'm so mad about my haircut. I put the Emery CD in, turn it to Disguising Mistakes with a Goodbye, just real heavy. And I just start punching the walls and screaming. And my mom thinks I'm like possessed by a demon and interrupts my dad's annual leadership meeting. He's like, your son's having a mental breakdown while I'm jamming to Christian metal and just moshing in the air moshing. But anyway, sorry, that was just a tangent there.
And to wrap mine up, I think part of the reason that, my brother and I both, we both were valedictorians. We both did super well in school. We've never done drugs. We've never done any of that. I think part of that can be attributed to, and I'm not saying this is why you guys went a different path than that, but I do think part of it was because my parents were like understanding with like the culture, and they definitely didn't try to lock us in a box or pick our friends for us or do any of these things. If we had friends that, my parents were like, my mom and dad were considered everyone's mom and dad in high school. Everybody loved coming to our house.
Right.
Because, my parents were always so welcoming and so loving. And, I would love for Ella to consider that of us. Or to consider that of me.
They will. That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, Garrett.
So I was listening to you guys and everything, and
great.
I was paying attention to the words you were saying.
It's like, hey, explain to me about what your relationship with purity culture is. Well, you not think of purity culture. I think of purity.
That's right.
All time answer.
Hey, you said it didn't have to be profound.
That's true.
Pure. Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so listen to y'all talk and about your upbringings and stuff. Like mine was the complete opposite, but even with it being the complete opposite, not having a complete family, not having a great mother-father dynamic and stuff like that, I learned the same lessons for marriage and for parenting, but just through a different style. And so like my aha moment was, I don't want to grow up and do how my dad did to me at such a young age. And so like it was a vow that I made to myself that I won't grow up and I won't have my kids grow up wondering
Tanner right now.
I won't have my kids grow up wondering why I wasn't there or why like maybe I wasn't good enough for my dad to show up even when he said he was going to show up, that type of stuff. So
I hate that you're talking about this heavy subject and we're talking about Tanner's boner monkey right now.
Yeah, well, it's cool. I'm just powering through it. That's why I'm looking up at the ceiling.
I feel like you have the worst, not your fault, the worst timing. Like you'll be really serious and Tanner's like, did this get a mention on the podcast?
I know,
like,
that's why I
right
laughed. And then JP's iPad falls down.
Yeah,
It's okay, guys. Okay.
But no, so I also got to see hold on, I got an idea. That's Siri. Never mind. There we go. I'll put do not disturb on. But so through, my mom's failed marriage, she had 3 marriages. And so through those relationships, I've seen domestic violence abuse. I've seen, my dad not want to talk to me and care for me or anything like that. So as you guys have seen all the key aspects of what it looks like to have healthy marriages, I've seen all the key aspects of what it looks like to not have healthy marriages. Mm-hmm. And so the same lessons can be learned also from that way. So like Leslie and I saw what it looks like to not have good communication. So Leslie and I, what we've done is we've built our relationship on communication. We went through times where we had to figure out how to communicate.
I mean, that's an evolving door all the time.
But these experiences that I've had have helped me be a better father. I know what it's like to have a dad who walks out of your life. And I would never be that dad to the flesh and blood that I helped bring into this world. And I know what it looks like to have a mom who's wanting to find love, but can't find it and is constantly heartbroken. So what am I going to do? I'm going to love the mother of my children more than anything so that my kids won't have to see a heartbroken, crushed mom or won't have to see their mom being strangled by some boyfriend in the living room at like 1 a.m.
And you saw that stuff?
Yeah.
Dang.
And then had to like take off out of the house. Like I've seen all that stuff. So I want to be the best version I can be to my kids because of that.
I think you bring up a really good point too that I wish I had mentioned of like my parents always like made it clear that like each other came before their kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that gets so flip-flopped.
I know. And so Alexa and I are very like intentional with, letting Ella know like mommy and daddy were like, we didn't choose Ella. We don't explain it this way. But
we didn't choose you.
Ella, but like
back of the line.
Daddy chose mommy.
Yeah.
And mommy chose daddy. Mm-hmm. And we decided to like bring you in. But, mommy and daddy's relationship was first.
Mm-hmm.
Cause she's tried to, and kids do it. They try to steal one parent away for a while. They have favorites at different points of time.
Oh yeah. When I get home, it's Abby all day. When I get home, it is Daddy O'Clock.
Yeah. And Ella's always been a mama's girl. Ella's always been a mama's girl up until here, like super recently. And Alexa sat her down and was like, if you love mommy, like you love who mommy loves, which is daddy. And like, we've had conversations like that with Ella that like, that relationship is first.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. It does get flipped, unfortunately, a lot of times.
And it's meant well. I've never yet to meet the person who doesn't mean well. The problem is it can become, this is not a subject necessarily for this, but it fits in. I think it become a form of escapism and not a crutch. There's another word I'm looking for.
Enmeshment.
Yeah. That's still not the word I was looking for. That's a better word.
Enmeshment.
Meshment?
Enmeshment.
Nice.
Jenny hasn't brought that up with you?
Oh, yes. That's the first time I heard that word.
Yeah.
No, Garrett went to Jenny for like 3 days. And then when she started unpacking why he gets rid of every dog he gets, that was the end.
He starts trimmering.
No, when my boss was like, hey, you can't like be doing therapy lessons during work hours anymore.
I never said that.
No, you didn't say that. It was a matter of insurance. Actually, my insurance.
I was going to say, I used to leave to go to therapy. I also used to go meet JP for 3-hour beers and pizza at Beer Works in the day.
Enmeshment is a psychological term that describes an unhealthy level of closeness and overlap between people, often family members.
Enmeshment.
Mr.
Enmeshment.
Thesaurus over there.
Very, very prominent in children.
Very contemplative of you.
Yeah.
It's contemplative.
Oh man, listen. Anytime I can use that word, I'm just busting it out all the time.
Did you hear JP? You're the one over here trying to counterdict myself. All timer, man.
Contemplative.
Counterdicting. Yeah. Contemplative counterdicting.
Oh my God.
Dude, if Violet wasn't asleep right now, I'd give you a good throat song right now. But I can't. Oh, that sounds real bad.
Clip it, chat.
How far are we in on that?
I didn't
God's
even.
plan.
Oh, we were well into an hour.
Oh wow, that was
Okay.
not what I meant. There's if you go listen to our Akira mostly film episode, you would know what I meant. I did some Mongolian throat singing to Garrett.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
Okay.
And
It almost sounded like Mike Wazowski.
What you mean, Roz?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was just saying Mike Wazowski.
Yeah. I was trying to talk like Count Orlok from Nosferatu. And that's what came out. And it was
Alex and I have been speaking like that from the movie, like ever since we've seen it.
Yeah,
We'll just be walking through the house and we'll do the shadow on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. Great. All right. So let's jump. We're all Christians here. Garrett, I'm going to kick it back to you again. When it comes to like biblical parenting, what does that mean to you in a nutshell? Because we joked about the umbrella at the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Biblical.
Yeah.
It invokes Jesus.
Yeah.
And God.
Yeah. Holy Spirit. So
he is welcome here.
My thought process on family dynamic has kind of shifted a little bit ever since coming to Faith Center, and I think in a great way, because I came from a Baptist church, so the umbrella thing would have been the thing that you would have been taught constantly, which I don't think is necessarily a terrible thing.
No, it's fine. It just gets abused.
But it can be abused, and it can be like, look, the husband's got to do this and you got to submit and blah, blah. So now
listen, I like to be a dom and submissive. I'm team both.
Yeah. So now when I like the family dynamic is Leslie and I, with the mutual submission of one to one another, both submitted to Christ, our family dynamic is based off like how well we submit to one another and have that modeled within our children.
See, that's all I was trying to say. I meant nothing else by that.
I didn't even hear you, actually.
I was just saying I can be a dom and submissive.
Oh, okay.
See?
But, I looked up those scriptures that were put on here. Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Wholeheartedly believe that. The next one, Ephesians 6:4, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And then Deuteronomy 6:6-7, these commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts, and press them onto your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. So
wait, do you have the Bible pulled up over there?
Yeah.
What about we left out Proverbs 13:24. That's like one of the biggest ones.
Is that don't spare the rod?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them.
Well, going back to the biblical thing for Deuteronomy 6, like that's the best encompassing verse that I could see of those three of what it looks like to be biblical parents is like you think of your children that you're impressing something in on them. They're like this blank canvas or this clay that's ready to be molded, and God has graced us as parents with life. That's part of the blessing tied, to male and female, is multiplication and blessing, and children are a blessing from the Lord, and they're quivers in your bow, or they're arrows in your quiver, for your bow and everything. So like as a parent, as I'm submitted to Christ and I am learning, and as he impresses on me that I'm just a conduit of his grace to my kids and a steward of his grace to my kids. But if I get clogged up as a parent, or I'm not being filled up as a parent, then my children, they're going to be the first ones to either receive that overflow or to be dried up, and it's so crazy, because ministry and serving the Lord isn't just going out and feeding the poor. If you don't have kids, that may be it for you. But like as parents, your ministry is your home, like you can't do anything outside for God if first your home is just completely out of order. You and your wife don't get along, your kids don't listen to you.
And there's always, that's not to be misinterpreted as seasons too, because there's seasons where you can be doing all the things you're mentioning and things still go awry, where y'all are not in a good patch relationally. Y'all are not in a good patch where your kid's just a terror. Right now,
Lorelai right now, I'll be like, hey honey, will you not do that? And she'll be like, no. And I'm like,
yeah.
What do you mean no?
Oh, this is a perfect time. I need you. I just sent in the group what you're just talking about, Psalms 137:9. Read that out loud to the group when you're talking about
in
being
your Orlock voice.
Yeah, in your Orlock voice.
Blessed
Yoda.
Oh, blessed the one who seizes your children. Bless the one who seizes your children and smashes them against a rock. I'm gonna have to see context on that one.
What a pull.
That is great.
I knew there was one. I had to look at it. I was like, where's the one where it talks about smashing your kids in the walk?
Oh my
I always heard that verse about the rod, do not spare the rod.
Yeah, screw that one. What about throwing them against the rocks?
Yeah. What about killing them?
I always heard the one about the rod is like, and now's not the time to talk about different this thing.
It's on the outline.
So it's talking about the destruction of Babylon. And so blessed is the one who destroys the children of Babylon and smashes them against a rock.
Still not great.
Still not a good look, is
it? I just love that you went in there, no context. You just made it to the first two words. Like, nope. Not what I expected.
Yeah. Listen, I've played this game before, Satan. I'm gonna need context.
Satan is Jonathan.
Yeah. Well, he's always like, I'm gonna play devil's advocate today.
Would you smash your kid into the rocks?
For the Lord.
In the name of the Lord.
It feels like
wasn't that the Crusades?
This is slowly turned into a Theo Von podcast. So look that up.
All right.
I was just gonna say that I always heard that do not spare the rod is justification for like hitting your kids and all that kind of stuff. If like kids that aren't beat are kids that stray from the path or whatever. I think a better context, a more meaningful context is the same way you tie a stake to a plant so that it grows up.
Oh, like a wooden stake?
Yeah. A
lattice?
What? A trellis, if you will?
Oh, trellis. What's a lattice?
Hey, y'all can't say the word trellis without
quoting John Mark Comer.
You have to say John Mark Comer.
He ripped a whole sermon out of Comer's book and didn't quote it.
I literally talked about a trellis and how Caitlin's like, dude's blaspheming up there.
In real time, like, you're stealing this dude's stuff.
I know.
And then, of course, it made its way to me. And I'm like, I'm going to have a great time with this right now.
I'm about to email John Mark Comer.
But,
copyright.
And I think
no idea what you're doing.
I actually think that this verse plays in perfectly with that one from Proverbs 22, the train a child up.
Oh, we're not talking about the smashing infants?
No.
Okay.
Train a child up in the way that they should go. that like literal translation is train a child up according to his way, which means like there is not a standard set one way to raise a child. It is on you as the parent to see the potential in your kid, to see their giftings, and to raise them in a way where that's fostered. And you can't do that. Like a plant is not grown if it's growing to the left, and it shouldn't be, because it's going to fall down, or if it's going to,
Sorry, not unrelated. Go ahead.
If it's going to grow in a way that's unhealthy, hitting it in the opposite direction, isn't going to solve anything. What you do is you drive a stake into the ground and you wrap the plant around it, and it grows in the direction that it's supposed to go. I think that's a much more compelling direction for parenting. And it's the one I personally follow. Like, it's on me as Ella's parent to call out and to foster, the best version of herself that she can be, and not to force her into a mold of being like me, or force her into a mold of being like Alexa. Like, she is a completely independent, different person that deserves to have that, her own person be celebrated and, brought out to the best degree possible. And that's how you get into like a different translation is parents do not embitter your kids. You embitter your kids by like, not doing that.
Yeah.
By letting them fail, by setting them up for their vine to fall against the ground and not go anywhere. They become indignant. They become, angry and rebel in outside of the normal range of rebellion for a kid.
Yeah. And Leslie was telling me, I cannot remember off the top of my head. It was either one of David's sons where he didn't correct. I'm bad with Old Testament names.
Well, I just sent you two Old Testament scriptures. I need you to read in a minute.
I don't know anymore after that last one. But like correcting your child is actually showing them great love, and that rod, Pastor John was talking about the Lord corrects whom he loves. And if all of us are parents who want to be corrected by the Lord, and the Lord loves us and wants us to direct us and keep us in the way we should go. And I love how you brought that up too, because there's like no set way for everyone to a perfect way,
And people get nervous when you talk about correction from the Lord, because they think that means God is going to correct me how my parents corrected me. They're going to he's going to hurt me.
Well,
teach me a lesson.
That was one of the biggest lessons I had to learn as a new Christian. Was I knew how my earthly father rejected me and did not want me. And everyone's always like, God, your father in heaven loves you. I'm like, well, I have no basis to like base that off of in my life right now. There's no foundation of love from a father that I'd be like, oh yeah, I can see how my father in heaven loves me,
And they think that, God correcting me is going to be painful, when in reality, it's probably a lot more like gentle and guiding, like we're talking about, than we give God credit for. Like God is not one to, abrasively like bring, calamity down on you to teach you a lesson.
Oh, are you reading scripture over there now?
More, guiding and loving than that. So that's my goal with it.
No, that's really good. I was just telling
that's
him.
How I understand
you
these
two
scriptures.
have covered that opening section really good. Because we're going to jump into reflections on upbringing, but I want Garrett to read the 3 scriptures on children that I just sent him.
I just read the last one. So,
go ahead and read it. Read it to the group. I want to.
No, because then I'm going to have to explain it in context and everything. I don't want to.
Only real Bible scholars listen to this podcast. They should know.
They should know. Just go ahead and read it.
Okay. At that time, Menahem sacked Tipsah and all who were in it and its territory from Tisra on, because they did not open it to him. Therefore he sacked it, and he ripped open all the women in it who were pregnant.
Is this a new Gen Z translation?
No, this is ESV of 2 Kings 15:16.
All right, what's the next one you got?
Samaria shall bear her guilt. This is Hosea 13:16. Samaria shall bear her guilt because she has rebelled against her God. They shall fall by the sword. Their little ones shall be dashed in pieces, and their pregnant women ripped open. Okay.
Last one. And that's funny is all three. I gave you 3 different translations, and they're all the same, basically.
1 Samuel 15:3.
No deviating from this one.
No.
Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and women, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. So
You look at it's like the same thing on the way down.
yeah.
It's like, you know what? This is pretty straightforward. We're going to leave this one here.
Amplified had nothing to amplify that verse with. It was no parentheses were found in that scripture.
Typed in,
Like fact check.
my NSA agent's freaking out right now because I just Googled scripture about killing kids. These are the verses that came up. I read my Bible every year. I don't think I've ever read these verses ever.
Oh,
Somehow
man.
my mind just blitzes over these.
You have some synaptic gaps that just went.
So when we talk about biblical parenting, we're talking more New Testament biblical parenting.
Every verse we just discussed was Old Testament, except for the one.
Well, you know what? We talked about this. It's a slippery slope. You can't pick and choose. So we need to start dashing some infants and ripping open our pregnant women.
That's what happens when you do a plain view reading of the Bible.
Yeah, we need to go back old school Monty Python wise and start sacking cities.
I will say before we did move on, Garrett had hit on the one verse that really sticks out to me whenever I think of parenting is Deuteronomy 4.
Had to read that.
No, Deuteronomy 6, sorry. Because at the end of the day, biblically speaking, I just have to, it's as simple as hearing from the Lord.
Mhm.
It's not a booklet or whatever. It just suffice to say, like, it's what Zach was hinting at is just like each child is going to be brought up in the way that they're going to go. And so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, y'all have touched on it significantly. I'm just going to jump back into reflections on upbringing. I had a very religious upbringing, very rooted in scripture, rooted in church. I lived in the sanctuary of the church. And my dad was very much a kingdom husband, what's the word I'm looking for with that? Like the exemplary husband, the exemplary wife, that kind of
model.
Yeah, Christian, there's a title of a book I'm trying to think of about a husband.
Well, for women, it's the Proverbs.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But for a guy, my dad and my mom were like perfect examples of like Christendom household, but it was never like we talked about earlier. My dad wasn't the handyman fix-all. He just literally preached and loved our family. Yeah. But, growing up, we prayed every single night before we went to bed. And we read the Bible every night before we went to bed. We prayed every morning before we went to school, before we dropped us off. Like, prayer was like one of the main things I remember being like a very important part of it. And my dad, like, and my mom both, they weren't like we're going to go to the closet and pray quietly like my dad, but they also weren't like the Pentecostal Rod Parsley scream around the house prayers either. But like my dad was just always praying, always, still to this day. And that's why I think I walk when I pray, and like I just more focused that way. Like we'd be driving to school and we'll be listening to music, VeggieTales, where my dad's just praying the whole time. And like that's how I grew up, just seeing a normalized prayer. My dad always, if you go to his house right now on his love seat, he's got a stack of books this tall. Instead of reading one book at a time like a normal person, he reads like 13 books, a chapter a day at a time. And it's where it takes him longer to read that way, but whatever. And the Bible's always open, just, tattered, and, that was my upbringing. You walk down the hall, remember those old Super Mario 64, you jump into the paintings, and that was a new first painting when he walked out of my room was a Pearly Gates Heaven giant painting. Then there was my sister's room. Then in between that hallway, there was a picture
Gates of Hell.
No, Yeah. I know you've probably definitely seen it. The video, the picture of the dad praying over the kid's bed with an angel behind him. That was there. And then at the end, there was a lion at the end of the hallway. So I grew up with all these like Mario boss level prints in my hallway. Like that's
some very core charismatic imagery right there.
Yes. Growing up, and every morning there was worship music playing. So like my whole life upbringing was rooted in Christianity. Now, whether it was all, I mean, I can't look back and say for most of it, you know what, they did this wrong, or they were too, showed too much fervor or zealousness here or something like that. I don't think that. There were, like we talked about purity culture. Some of that stuff was more damaging to me, but that was not really my parents. That was more of like a whole movement culture that they weren't my youth pastors anyway. So, when I look back at biblical parenting and my upbringing and how that is rooted into how I'm going to do it here, we implement like Violet every morning, and which after we get back from Disney, I got to fix this. I used to get up with Abby and we do our quiet time before Violet woke up together. But now she gets up early and I stay in bed with her and let Abby get up and do hers. But now I'm not getting to do mine as much. So I'm going to have to change that. But she knows every morning that mommy gets up and reads her Bible. And every night before we go to bed, I pray for her. And then she sometimes will repeat what I'm saying, pray some part she's memorized. And then she'll at the end thank Jesus for something new that she's thankful for every night. But we also don't, if she doesn't want to pray, that's okay. We're not like you're gonna pray and you're gonna lock it.
You better show God you locked His grace.
No, we're not. We never want it to make it feel like a do this or else kind of thing. And if she doesn't have interest in it that night, that's totally fine. We want it to be a normalized thing that she sees that's normal, that's healthy, that's something that we want to do, that we look forward to doing, that we love to do. And I think that's just something that we want to emulate. That you would want to emulate, because going back, I'm more like my dad now. I have my mom's personality, but my dad's like interest in what I do. And I just hope that that's the same for Violet. And that's kind of what I want her to look at our lives. Like I looked at my parents' life and helped shaped me to this day. Because the older I am now, I just realize, man, I've really adapted into a lot of what my parents were and did.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my upbringing and how it's kind of bled into, I mean, it's not like anything profound, just little simple things. I mean, she's 3. So, I mean, as you get older, I mean, like Zach, you have the oldest daughter of us. I mean, there are more things you can do, more interactive, take it to a deeper level. But at 3 years old, that's really, I mean, what more am I supposed to be doing?
We do something similar. Like I probably should be, better with this, but like we don't have a routine or a tradition or anything of like we pray before bed or something like that. But we had the discussion with her the other night. She was upset about something, and I was telling her like, you don't have to like pray with mommy and daddy. You can pray to God by yourself. I said, mommy and daddy pray all the time, and we pray for you and we pray for each other. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to wait for us or do anything for us. And like if she's upset or had a bad dream or something, I'm like, do you want to pray for it? And sometimes she's like, yeah, and sometimes she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, because I'm her, obviously, but we don't, nothing's forced. Something else that like we did growing up, and I think maybe this is just personal, whatever, we prayed before every meal. We don't do that. We do it when we're with parents, or we do it when we're with other people sometimes, but it's not something that we're like forced, because at some point I hate, this is going to sound terrible, but it kind of loses its meaning.
It does. We do it, but Violet does it. Like, God is great, God is good, let us thank Him for our food. And right now, because we're going to Disney for the last month, she says, God is great, God is good, let us thank Him for our food, Merry Disney. That's why that's added on. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
I got some dude wipes upstairs.
Yeah. Just some gas moving through the old colon,
Do you need me to rip your belly out and take it out? Old Testament style?
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Because I mean, we really get real practical. What nourishment is God blessing to most of our food? But I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I get it. I don't pray for, like, if I'm at work by myself.
Yeah,
I don't pray for my food before I eat it. I know I should probably, but I don't. But we've instilled it into Violet to just, I think one of those normalizing prayers is just a toddler to praying is okay. It's normal. But like the other night we finally had a really late Christmas this last Sunday for Abby's grandparents at their house. And everybody expected Violet to play. She said, I don't want to pray. We're like, okay, that's totally fine. But
and we've, like I said, there's probably ways that I can, improve in that aspect and but so far Ella's been, very good. And she's never like, if we're at my parents and they ask her to pray for dinner, she's never, embarrassed to. She does it. She is super involved with kids' church. She's been saved. Like she went up and got saved on her own accord. And we asked her, like, okay, well, do you want to be baptized? And she said, not right now.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't think I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so we said, okay, because, ultimately it's her choice. It's not meaningful if we make her. And so we said, okay, well, when you're ready, you come talk to us. And she said, okay. So
from an upbringing standpoint, you probably had a little bit of a similar one.
Yes, but no.
Because I want to hear that, and then I also want you to touch on like some of the challenges that spurred on. Because I didn't really talk about any of the drawbacks of it.
Yeah, I mean, my parents, just their Christian walk. I don't think there's anything to question as far as what they believed. They were very committed to, our upbringing in that sense. But I don't know if my parents watched this or whatever. Growing up, it was one of those things like that just wasn't a part of our household. Partially because we were involved in church so much.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's one of those things. My dad got saved early on into me being born, and my mom grew up in church. But I think her parents before that weren't really religious. And so they're very much like first generation, like Christians, to some degree. And so a lot of it, they just knew by just being there, being really committed. And that level of commitment was obviously instilled into me. And it's something that I take very seriously, sometimes in an unhealthy way. But yeah, it's a huge learning curve because the home life side of it, honestly, me and Caitlin have had kind of conversations about this of like, what does it look like for us? And she has her idea because, he's a pastor's daughter and her dad has set a very high standard. And I've had to tell her, I was like, look, I'm not going to be like that. Yeah. I can't be like that. It's not in me. I'm not wired like that. For me to do anything like that would be disingenuous. And so it's finding out what works for you, that is going to be that example for, not only June, my daughter, but for Caitlin and leading a household. So
I think you just touched on something that ties into our next kind of subtopic about what works and what doesn't with biblical parenting, is that there's two people in a marriage. We're talking about the daddy perspective of it here with us, but Abby had a totally different upbringing, very, very Christian and, Baptist. Her parents have always been, her whole life was very routinely church, Christianity, normalization, kind of like mine was, but much more strict, rigid kind of way. And not in a bad way either, just very different than mine. And like what you're talking about, kind of like expectations of what, Caitlin has her expectations because of what John instilled into her. And Abby has her expectations of what her dad Scott instilled into her. And I am not Scott in the same way that you aren't John. But when it comes, and that's never an issue until you have a kid. And it's not an issue. It never really still is an issue, but that kind of stuff does come out more once you're married, especially in those early, like what you're in the thick of it now, is learning to parent and find your identity as a parent, and then your spouse coming to terms with, and us too as men. It's probably, maybe I don't mean this as a mansplain. I I never wanted my wife to be my mom, or like to our daughter, what I mean? Like not to me, but to our daughter. Not that I love my mom and she was great with me. I don't mean it any sort of negative light, but I wanted her to be her own person. Mm-hmm. But like almost every friend or marriage that I've seen, even people that just from abject conversation, this is a very common issue for women. I feel like I'm saying this poorly. Zach, you can be my conscience.
Really misogynistic.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying in broad, high level overview here, I feel like I hear it a lot more from women than men that they want, and sometimes it's an issue that they want their husbands to emulate their father in how they parent their kid. And I don't mean that in any kind. I don't even think it's a bad thing. I just think it's an expectations thing and talking about what doesn't work when it comes to biblical parenting.
Well, that goes back to that verse. Sorry. The verse of train up a child in the way they should go. Mm-hmm. As Zach mentioned, that there's different ways and multiple ways. That was the way that Abby was raised, and that was the way Caitlin was raised. But that's not going to be the way Violet's raised, because you're the one that's holding the rod.
Yeah.
If Ella was supposed to have my father as her father, then God would have made it that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But your daughter would be your sister.
What?
Yep. Your daughter would be your sister.
Yeah.
He only in Alabama.
Me her father.
Yeah.
And he made Alexa her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And Alexa has always been very, like, I'm not a whole lot like her dad at all. I am in some ways, and I'm not. I'm very opposite.
You're not like Scott. Ways. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Scott's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. He's way cooler than me. Actually good at playing music, that kind of thing. But, and I don't want Alexa to be like my mom because, obviously I had, a great, upbringing and stuff like that, but that's not what it's called for at this time. What's called for is Alexa and I to be mom and dad and bring a combination of experience from both families.
Yeah. The one thing you mentioned about like the tension between you and Abby, like you said, in the thick of it, you don't realize in a marriage that how easy it is in a spiritual walk. Like you said, you hit this point in parenthood to where different expectations, everything. You don't realize that whenever it's just the two of you, because you have the liberty to just kind of like the old analogy of like a marriage is two people rowing in the same boat. You got to be rowing in the same direction. Whereas, it's just the two of you, you can have your separate boats. You can be living separate lives really. And it not being affected. And I've been guilty of that. And,
we all have.
It's just one of those
married
things.
For any amount of time.
Yeah. And so it's not until this third person is introduced, like,
and we're talking about a child, not a third
child. Yes.
Just to be clear.
when this other person is now in the boat, you have to be in one mind and one accord, really.
Mm-hmm. And that's for us, it was jarring. It almost ruined our marriage. Jarring. Not Violet. We both talked about it's just how selfish we had become and did not know how to. And because we waited so long into our marriage to have Violet, 7 years basically.
So we were 6.
Yeah. You get so there are pros and cons to waiting that long. And the con of it is you're just so set in a way of life. And sometimes you do get to a point where you're on the same ocean.
Yeah.
But you're in different boats. And sometimes you can only see each other when the moonlight hits just right on a clear night. But, the old ship's passing in the night, And then all of a sudden you get a baby and you realize you're connected to the same anchor and you're right there. And it's like a whirlpool. And, that's when a lot of people, the divorce statistics on people who have a baby are through the roof. It's because people just don't know how to be with each other. It's a whole new season for spouses to really fall in love and get to know each other, basically start over. That's kind of what it was for us. It was like a reset for us.
I'm going to try to say this in a way that makes sense, but like when Alexa and I got married, that was both of our first times being married. Like neither one of us had been married before.
Same. That's true for all of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And
yes.
Well,
not for Leslie, but for you. Yeah.
She wasn't married.
She
was.
But like, yeah.
She was married.
It was your first time getting married.
He's
a year.
He's texting right now. Not fit for ministry.
Yeah.
But
divorced.
First Timothy.
My God.
but I have to remind myself, like, yeah, like we can submit to each other, you know, more equally because we're both in this for the first time. But what's not Alexa has been a little girl before.
Mm-hmm.
I have not. And so when I'm doing something,
Yeah,
Alexa's like, that's not the right way to handle that, or the right way to speak to her, or something. It is on me. Like I try to like submit to my wife because she has an experience that I don't have.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously her and Ella are not the same, but it is a core.
The point of view is still the same.
Understanding that I don't and will never have.
Yeah.
And so for me to be like, you know, to submit to my wife telling me like, hey, do this, or hey, don't do this. She's coming from a place of like, she's been a, you know, 7-year-old little girl before and had someone, you know, whether it be her father or another male figure, say something cross and it changed something about her, hurt her, or the opposite. She had someone, you know, give her the kind of love that she needed in the moment and it changed something. I mean, she's like, no one, I said I grew up with a bunch of, you know, women that had positive influences on me, and that's true. But no one's changed my, you know, perspective on raising a little girl like Alexa has.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's important for me I feel like it's important for me to say that, like, I submit to Alexa's viewpoint on stuff a lot, or at least I try to. She might not think I do as good of a job as I think I do, but you know, it is worth considering that that's an experience I'll never have.
All right. And Garrett, when it comes to, because I'm going to assume from what I know about your upbringing and stuff like that, you didn't have like you didn't have that kind of just super biblical, scripture laced upbringing. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was, we went to church. We went to church and stuff like that, but like, it wasn't a foundation, you know, and part of my mom's testimony when I was a kid and everything is that, you know, she's been a believer her whole life, but she strayed for a long time.
So with that specific viewpoint and dynamic, I think you are good to kick this off. When it comes to biblical parenting today, you don't have like pros and cons. I mean, when it comes to baggage can have a good connotation to it and a bad connotation to it. You don't have as much baggage as we have on either side of the court or either side of the aisle when it comes to, you know, that biblical upbringing ad nauseum. So when it comes to biblical parenting for you today, as like a proverbial head of the household, and you can buck back on that as what works and what doesn't work. How have you integrated biblical parenting today? Like, what has worked for you when you think about whether it be the scriptures or just, you know, whatever that means? Because I don't want to talk it down too much and give you an answer. But
well, I guess really just hearing the stories that I've heard from you guys, and not just like today, but you know, Christians that I've met over the past few years tell me about how they grew up. You always hear the PKs grow up and they're gonna go crazy for a while, then come back to it and stuff. And so I think
we boomerang back pretty hard.
Yeah. But you know, with those examples and the things that I've learned, you know, we try not to be overly strict. We know. So I'll give you an example. We were at a life group last night at Travis and Amy's house. It's a life group with parents and their kids come and stuff. And we actually were 30 minutes late. It started at 6. We showed up at 6:30, walked in, and I was like, oh, so it's 6 p.m., huh? You know, and we laughed and stuff, but you know,
yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah. Whatever. But so me and Leslie sit down and Leo sits in the kitchen, the dining room area. And I don't know if y'all have ever been to Travis and Amy's house, but everyone's sitting in a living room and it's kind of an open concept like it is here. And so like where you walk in here, your foyer would be where the dining room table and stuff is. And then in here, we'd have the living room where everyone's sitting. Well, Leo was sitting in there and I was telling him, you know, I said, hey, why don't you come in here and sit? Not because I was trying to be strict and make him do something, but it was a time that I recognize that Leo needs to be in here and involved with us.
Yeah.
And then the thing that he wanted to increase for this year is his ability to hear God and see God. And like knowing how to parent when I need to parent my child in the manner of the Lord is really how we try to do it. So I'm not going to be overbearing or super strict with things. I actually try to show my kids, or at least Leo at this age, some of the bad things of the world, not like crazy bad or anything, but show him.
Look at this video.
Gay porn.
Yeah. Yeah. Good Lord. But just show him
the delayed
things,
reaction for everybody is like 1, 2, 3.
So I don't want to be overzealous or oversaved with my kids because they're not going to learn discernment. And what I'm learning from the Gen Zs and even myself and was it alphas, learning from them is that
the new ones are betas.
They learn.
Yeah, they seriously are.
The way that Christians are going to grow up is in resiliency is having cultural discernment. So if I'm going to turn that valve off of any sort of cultural thing coming into our home or exposure to anything, then what I'm doing is I'm limiting my kids' ability to discern good and evil and opening a door for rebellion. Cause they're like, well, why does my parents want me to see that? So, I don't want to be overzealous. Do want to give grace and truth. Do want to correct when I need to correct. I will be a dad when I need to be a dad, which is all the time, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be my kid's best friend because although I'm a friend of God, he's also my father, so there's a difference between the two things there. We pray. Leslie is a prayer warrior, so she'll pray before we go to bed. And we're like, as soon as she starts praying, we're like, out, dude, and when we ask Leo if he wants to pray, there's times where he's like, no, and Laura will say the same thing. And we respect that and honor that and everything. So, it's not, I wouldn't say our house is like, you can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. It's more of like, let's show you why we say you shouldn't do these things. And I'm not going to let them play like GTA 5 or anything like that.
I got tickled. Violet's recently discovered VeggieTales because we didn't go to church this last week. So we wouldn't want Violet to be exposed to any extra germs the week of Disney. But last Sunday, she, I guess had new teachers in there. They didn't do the normal worship thing. So they watched VeggieTales and we'd never shown it to her. I guess Christian parenting fell, but
Ella's never watched VeggieTales.
I don't think I've really watched.
I pulled it out for
Ella's
June.
100% on the SpongeBob train, and I will own it till the day I die.
Lorna loves
Violet's
Blippi.
a Disney fanatic, of course. She's recently gotten into some Nickelodeon stuff. Anyway, beside the point.
Demonic Nickelodeon.
No, Dora the Explorer mainly.
Yeah.
So she discovered VeggieTales for the first time, and this actually has a point of the story here. And she loves Silly Songs with Larry, of course. So I found the 1.5 hour long. All the serious Silly Songs with Larry, and we watch it.
I watched that with June just the other day.
Well, there's new stuff in there. I actually texted the group about it. There's a funny one about a belly button and a boy band. That was pretty funny. There's some old ones I forgot about, like Say Boo.
Yes.
Those are great. But then there's one called Pizza Angel. And I was playing it at my parents' house the other night. We were over there. And the lyrics are, Larry orders a pizza. And it's taking so long to get to him, like way too long. So he starts singing to this Pizza Angel. He's like, Pizza Angel, I'm on my knees. Pizza Angel, I'm praying, please. And it keeps praying for him to come to deliver his pizza. I could see my dad listening to it and going, I was like, I stood up, I slammed because I saw I could tell he was like, I don't like this that he's praying to the Pizza Angel on his knees. Come visit me. I slammed my hand down on one of his books and said, what did I say? Oh, vegetable heresy. Turn this off. And he spit out his drink. He thought it was the funniest thing ever because he knew that I was like watching him freak out about it. But it is funny just like thinking about weird things like that growing up. Like, in hindsight, because it came on in here last night and Abby was like, what's playing? I was like, that's VeggieTales. She goes, I don't like that. And I was like,
it's that new VeggieTales.
It is the new VeggieTales. And I was like, I get it. Am I that strict? No. But if especially if it's a proposed Christian thing and they're praying to the pizza angel, I'm on my knees begging you to come visit me, playing. It's funny. I thought it was funny. I think it's real funny. And the same thing, he's watching one of the new ones. He's Barbara Manatee falls in love with a sock pucket. Or pucket. Pucket sounds gross. Sock pucket. I don't know why that feels so dirty, but it's like,
I don't think those are two words I've ever heard pronounced back to back like that.
It's like a
pucket sock.
No, sock pucket.
Yeah.
It's like a, in high school, your sock. That's what it should be called, a sock pucket. Anyway, now we know that.
Barbara Manatee.
Barbara Manatee, you are the one for me. Anyway, I didn't mean to go into Barbara Manatee, but no, the pizza angel stuff. I get to thinking about like modern day parenting and like pitfalls biblically. I think that is a pitfall, like just something to get worked up for no reason. And I don't want Violet to grow up. I'm not upset about it. I made it light and airy when my dad wasn't going to say anything. Anyway, my dad, my parents are at the point they're not going to
tell you
interfere with our parenting.
Yeah. You've made your choice.
Yeah. Now, if he heard me playing, I write sins, not tragedies, unedited in here.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about closing the GD door in front of Violet, my dad would for sure say something like,
he'd explode like Thanos snap.
He wouldn't even turn Alexa. He'd just throw her out the window. He just wouldn't deal with that. He wouldn't know how to react. Outside of something like that, my parents aren't going to get involved. And Abby wasn't mad and said, turn it off or anything like that. I just don't want Violet to grow up with that legalistic mindset either. And I think that's one of the biggest pitfalls. I mean, even for you didn't grow up in it, but I think being so involved in it. And then for us, it would be so tempting sometimes to be caught up in like how I grew up when everything was like, had to be like, my dad read the lyrics to every song to make sure everything was like acceptable within margin. I don't want to be that for Violet, but at the same time, I don't just want it to be an open doorway to everything the world has to offer either. So thankfully 3 years old is a little easier. We don't let her watch Turning Red.
Ella loves that movie.
Oh, Violet loves it. She has a whole May Panda upstairs. We let her watch it, and then we started hearing, oh my gosh, jerk, but and that's the only movie that has it. We're like, all right, pass. So she gets to watch it on her tablet. She has a tablet she only gets to use on Disney trips for travel. So she gets to watch Turning Red. So she'll get to watch it next week. So my next week's will be filled with oh my goshes. And
Ella's big on Hotel Transylvania right now.
Dude, I love Hotel Transylvania.
We've been watching it nonstop. I love it. It's like, it's one of my,
they're both good.
Violet hasn't discovered that yet, but I do like Hotel Transylvania. But anyway, I think when talking about biblical upbringing and what works and doesn't, what works, I think, is just what works for each. It's so simplistic. What works is what works. This is a Garrett answer. What works is what works for you.
That's what that verse is.
Yeah. I just think that, each of us is going to have a little bit different values, a little bit different, things that matter to us and hit differently. That you got to poop. I got dude wipes and tucks upstairs and regular toilet paper. It's like a buffet.
Wow.
And
what if you stack all three of them together?
I got to pee really bad. I can be a bidet for you. A warm bidet.
That is insane.
I'm too tired for this. We got
the golden bidet.
Clip that, chat.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so, I think that just kind of gut call, making sure that you and your wife are in tune spiritually where you need to be with God. I think that's the most important rock for everything we've talked about tonight, is making sure that you and your spouse are together. Me and Abby recently started, this isn't novel to us, but recently starting some days, especially like Sundays, for instance, what can be potentially a tough day, busy day, just starting to say, hey, same team, knuckle bump. Like
just getting out the door to go to church is like, Leslie and I will have to drive separate sometimes. Yeah. Because it's just like,
oh, that's me every Sunday now.
Yeah. Well, it's about to be that way.
Yeah. I'm 3 hours before Caitlin's plugging June in.
Yeah, Leslie's just accepted it too. She's just like, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's super important. I mean, what we're all talking about, like, that's super important. Make sure that you guys find a way to be on the same team, even if it's different. You just have to come together on certain things, because that's how you're going to be able to really raise your kid how you need them to be raised and not have them pin you against one another. But biblically, for me, it's everything's got to go back to your own walk. My walk with Christ, Abby's walk with Christ, us together as a union, as her parents together with Christ. And then I think that just naturally bleeds into everything else. I mean, when are we going to show Violet Harry Potter? I don't know. But is she going to watch Harry Potter? Sure. At some point.
When are you going to get her tarot cards?
Oh, she's already got them in her room.
Okay.
Kidding me? Yeah.
It's collected all.
Yeah.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah.
Gotta catch them all.
The Hanging Man. That's
demons.
For the record, we plan on letting Ella watch Harry Potter like this year and come over. And,
eights.
Yeah, 7, 8.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
And it wasn't because of the content. It's just more so she can understand the story.
Abby.
We let her watch the first Jurassic Park for the first time.
I made a mistake with Jurassic Park. Did I tell you this? When she was 2.5, she was talking about how dinosaurs roar. I was like, that's not how they sound. She said, let me hear a real one. So I showed her the T-Rex scene from Jurassic Park.
Oh, God.
Which one?
The scene where it breaks through and
bites the dude off the toilet.
I don't like it. I don't like it. Abby's like, why did you show her that? I was like,
dude,
I didn't think it would be scary.
Right,
well, she loves Arlo.
Yeah.
The good dinosaur. But yeah, that was.
Did you show her Carnivore? Remember that movie?
Carnitors are in
Carnitor. Wait,
What
dinosaur.
about just dinosaur?
No, the one that was like super
That's
graphic.
Yeah.
Was
It's called Dinosaur.
No, it was like a super graphic dinosaur movie that came out around like early 2000s.
We're back.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, We're Back was great.
Bomb.
Yeah, great film. But anyway, and I'm just gonna touch on one more thing, and then that kind of wraps it up for the most part. Is tradition and modernity.
Modernity.
I was looking at this today, and I was like, I know how to pronounce this.
I
but
start
I can't.
to type stuff, and then it just finishes it for me. Sometimes I'm like,
Carnosaur. No.
I've never heard of this movie.
That's a movie called Carnivore.
No. It's freaking out right now. Anyways,
Carnitor is a dinosaur in the movie Dinosaur. It's the main antagonist in the film.
Carnosaur.
Carnosaur.
Yeah.
Looks like the dinosaur from Land Before Time.
You keep going to the same.
Oh, Land Before Time. That's something I can't wait to introduce
Nothing
myself to that.
quite as traumatizing as that first.
Yeah.
But you know what? I feel like emotionally,
Ella's never watched those. I feel like she would like them.
The Iron Giant too.
Oh,
Same way. The Brave Little Toaster. Same way.
Acid trip of a movie.
Yeah, it really is, but wrecked me emotionally.
There we go.
Actually, that's really it, because I've already touched on the other stuff, is how to adapt to like films and stuff. So
It's a 3.7 out of 10. So
I am almost going to have to watch this movie.
Mostly film.
Oh, and I got to show you a trailer before you leave tonight. It's called Invisible Raptor.
What about Velocipaster?
Is that where
it's actually got great ratings? It's like a cult following film. But anyway, to wrap up, what parenting advice do you all have that you like, just one novel thing to you that has been so integral into specifically?
I mean, that's two specifically that I wanted to say.
Okay, yeah, you can use two. Why don't you go ahead? You go ahead with your two.
Oh, okay. The
Shot
first
clock.
one, what? That I have more than one thing to say?
Shot clock.
The first one is one that I heard from someone that I like listening to, and he said that he has 2 rules for his kids, or 2 goals as far as being a parent. And they are in order. Number 1, don't let your kids hate themselves. And he said, because any kid, especially a teenager left to their own devices, will hate themselves. And he said, at number 2, don't let them hate Jesus. And he said, if you do those 2 things, he was like, I think that you could be considered successful as a parent.
I agree. That's good.
That's good.
And so that's what I'm going for. And then actually the second one is a new one that I just read in this.
It wouldn't be an episode if you didn't bring a book.
Gotta get that book plug.
I'm only partway through it, but so far it's super good. She Deserves Better. It's about raising girls specifically. I think actually it's an answer to Bringing Up Girls by James Dobson.
Like as a counter.
Yeah, more of like maybe this wasn't the best advice.
Like a commentary on it.
Yeah,
type of
but
thing.
she hasn't called that book out specifically. But she said that it works in church too, but there's the 3 steps are belonging, belief, and then behavior. And how we especially in church, we jump right to behavior. Like how I act determines everything. It determines my acceptance. It determines everything. When in reality, like people, if they feel like they belong, then they're more likely to believe what you tell them.
Yeah.
And then after they believe, then you can say, hey, maybe this isn't the best way to do this.
Right.
But the only way you can actually successfully help someone alter the way they're doing things is by first making them feel like they belong. And then secondly, having them believe. And so, like, I never want to create an atmosphere where Ella feels like a stranger in her own house. So belonging is always first. Obviously I want her to grow up and believe what I believe, and I plan on teaching her, and I teach a lot of kids. So eventually she'll be in my middle school class, and I want to teach her all of these things. But, it's kind of pointless if she believes what I believe, but doesn't feel safe to come to me about anything. And so those are my two things. Make sure she loves herself, make sure she loves Jesus. And then to always make sure that she feels welcome and belongs with her mom and I.
Yep. Garrett.
Yeah. For me, I would say these are things personally that I've learned as a parent is to give myself grace. Disciplining your children can be very hard. And there's times where I have like a lot of dad guilt where I've disciplined my kids and, they cry or I got to talk to them, and it's just hard sometimes. And, so one, give yourself grace. Two, find your groove as a parent. As we've touched on, everyone here has a different way that they approach things. There's general rules like don't slam your kid against a rock. You
beat me. I was going to make the joke because I was thinking about that Ring doorbell where you yeeted the the pink chair, and I was wondering. You said you have dad guilt. I wonder if you just did that to Lorelai one time, just threw her out like that.
I thought that was the chair.
And Leslie, yeet.
Yeah.
Background. There went Lorelai.
Yeah.
That's why you live at the end of the cul-de-sac. Nobody sees.
Yeah, no one sees. And Janice, she's never home. So
yeah. Child abuse. Love it.
Oh man.
But find your groove as a parent. And, listen to advice from other parents, but that's not your blueprint for life and for your home too.
Yeah, everybody told my parents to ship me off to military school in high school.
Probably should have. Yeah.
I don't know. Can you imagine me if I would have taken on to that? That might have been worse.
Yeah. Lastly, for that is if you're having thoughts that you're a bad parent, you're probably no, opposite.
It's conviction from the Lord.
It's you're probably doing the right things, and having to do the hard things. Like if you're questioning if you're a narcissist or not, you're probably not a narcissist, type thing. And so
narcissists would never think that.
Yeah.
No, ever. No.
So yeah, give yourself grace, find your groove, and don't continuously question if you're a bad parent or not. You're doing the best you can given the situation and circumstances that you have. And so, yeah.
Yeah. For me, a little bit contradictory to what you said, but
wow. Hey,
I know.
That's a bold 10:17 PM. You said contradictory.
I almost said tickle, but
go ahead.
Oh,
It bothered me.
Nobody knows what's going on over here.
For dads, at least, like, cause
yeah,
we're all dads. For me personally, it's meant a lot having like being in. The door open. There's just Violet just standing there.
No, I thought I heard a thud.
Oh,
I heard multiple.
I heard the thud. That's why I'm waiting. Part of me thinks maybe she loves to sleep on the very corner of her bed.
That's an impact trimmer. I'm fairly alarmed now. Fairly alarmed right now.
If it was, and New Madrid goes off, and we're filming mostly focused.
I'm quoting Jurassic Park.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a trimmer from the earthquake. New Madrid fault.
No.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Find other dads. And just take the advice. Take the shared experiences. It doesn't even have to be like given advice. Just observe. For me personally, it's meant a lot. obviously me and Zach have been friends for a long time, and since Ella was little, she's now 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's
7.
7. I'm sorry,
about to be 8.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow.
I've known her for a long time. She's just turned 16.
And say that JP is her
I knew
godfather,
there were numbers in there.
and
I don't even know how long I've been married. And then with
You need that jellyfish.
and then seeing
Prevagen.
That's it. What was I was thinking Neurovite.
I'm glad we figured that out. And then you guys having 2 to 3 year olds now.
Yeah, we got girls.
Seeing you guys having 2 to 3 year old girls.
What are you talking about?
Just because nothing is fine.
Purity.
Yeah.
It's just it's good to kind of have like a roadmap of like, hey, this is what to expect. And it's because when stuff comes up, I can a lot of the stressors that I have, I just kind of blush with. It worked out for them. Worked out for me.
Yeah.
May, Alex and Casey have been using Violet as a template, and it's been like dead on to be able to predict it, because May and Violet are 6 months apart, like almost to the day, and every milestone, like almost to the day, May is like emulating progression wise. So like, all right, Violet's acting like this right now, we know exactly what's to come.
Brace for it.
And it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because you've got to see like, and it's kind of a funny anecdote, but like Ella's always been one to get out of bed once she goes to bed.
Yeah.
And it's been,
oh, sorry. I have this beard. You didn't tell me how bad like touching beard is once you get it.
Oh,
I just hear this. And for anyone listening, I apologize. There's just no easy way to
brush and oils and stuff. I'm just constantly like fluttering with my beard, and it's at nighttime. I just kind of do.
You need to go to the barber.
Yeah.
That's just the pain in my butt.
Just stop in there, tell them to trim up your beard a little bit, dude. They'll fix it.
I see the horizon. Let's get there.
Oh, sorry.
Let's do it.
I was just going to say, it's kind of funny that JP has seen how we handle Ella getting out of bed. We've handled it like where we're stern. We've handled it where, we kind of be a little bit more soft and compassionate. And it's all, if Caitlin and JP are ever prepped for their kid to be hiding around a corner,
bro, Ella,
waiting for them.
You talk about jump scares.
Ella has been the perfect training for them.
That's my fear. I haven't had that happen yet.
The number of times that Ella will like get out of bed and like come up there to see what we're doing, and just be standing around the corner, and it scares Caitlin every single time.
Yeah, right.
And so by the time June's 7 years old, she'll be a pro. Nothing will get her.
Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. And when you see her in your sleep, do not scream. She'll rip your tongue out the seam.
Was that another proverb?
Yeah.
Look that up.
2 Corinthians. Oh no, I wasn't actually meant to say a scripture. It's just late. Anyway, yes. Basically everything y'all said, yes. I'm gonna double back to the spouse care in your marriage. You and your spouse need to be aligned. You need to be more than just ships passing in the night. Me and Abby had to go through that. It wasn't fun. It wasn't pretty. It was very hard to get our marriage back on track. And it's still, it's what we have to work on every single day. It's not like your day one of marriage. You're having to like work and fight and just choose to love each other. And, it can't be, I don't like it when people say, we're just doing this for the kids, because okay, that's a short-term Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Yeah.
So I've never liked that. Everything I'm doing now is through the lens of my marriage and then my daughter. Because if my marriage is thriving, my daughter also will be thriving. So I think that's what my main course of advice is. If you're married, make sure to prioritize your marriage, love your spouse, serve your spouse, be attentive to their needs and their, feelings. And then the other thing is just, as Christians, and this being biblical and talking about biblical upbringing, obviously it's a little more challenging to discuss it when your kids are 3, because there's not like, it's not that serious right now. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it is what it is. But to me, I'm constantly thinking about 6, 7, 8, like when they're starting to like become more sentient, and like aware,
self-actualized.
Yes. I've been like role playing some of that stuff in my head. Like, how do I want to handle that? Cause my therapist said I'm a catastrophizer.
We prayed for Ella, JP and Alexa and Caitlin, and my parents prayed for Ella on Sunday morning, because Ella's been going through her like realization that people can die And she told us, she was like, I've just been really afraid that something's going to happen to you and daddy.
Talking about existential crisis.
Yeah. And so, we've explained to her, but we got, because she was like, because if something happens to you, then I've got to go to P and Mal's house.
So we ain't ready for that.
And so we all prayed for her on Sunday.
Definitely send her to Garrett's house so she should get put down.
This fear that she's having, which I think is a normal developmental thing, but that she doesn't have to be afraid.
Right.
And how do you handle?
Yeah, no, yeah. You don't know that until
it's coming up.
Yeah. Golly. Yeah. But, keep the important things and try to tune out the rest. And obviously fellowship, the older I've gotten, fellowship, friendships, connections, stuff like this. I know it's a podcast and whatever, but we don't do it. We're not getting paid for this.
This is more for us than you guys.
Yeah.
I know
this
it's
is my time.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun that we have a strange little solid community now. It cracks me up, but
thanks guys. You're the best.
Yeah. Gay foot guys. We love you. GFGs. My GFGs. Love it.
Let me rip.
But no, keep the important things important. Get a little community. You'll be good. So that's it. We made it through the daddy episode. So we calling it mostly daddies.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the late edition. You guys don't have to
not anymore.
To anything I said.
Oh, not anymore.
You've stuck around longer than Tanner.
That's true.
Yeah.
You did pick the topic. You did.
I love being a dad.
I love being a dad too.
Especially a girl dad.
And I'm just going to say it right now, have baby fever real bad.
Yeah, luckily I've been snipped.
I love being a dad.
So.
I love my daughter. I can't express how much I don't want another kid.
Oh, I do now.
Alexa and I both immediately know.
Abby, some days is like on top of the world, needs one. Like, just skip the night, give me one right now. And somebody say, I don't want another one. But we're both consistently likely. I think we'll at least have one more. Probably maybe this year.
Something else that we've had to explain to Ella. She's like, why don't I have a brother or sister? We've had to explain to her that it was super hard on her mom.
Super hard.
And we came with a lot of pain and fear and stuff. And we just don't want to do that again. But that's another conversation that kids have.
Yeah.
Hey. Kids are way smarter than you give them credit for.
Yeah. Garrett, you have any, give me your closing. What are you reading? What are you watching? That normal sign off here.
Well, I just finished Faith for Exiles.
Did you start that in January?
I started it, I think, mid-December.
Okay.
Just finished it. Pretty much same stuff as every David Kinnaman Barna research group book.
Why are you reading this stuff?
It's youth stuff.
Barna is a great resource.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very good, but it's like
with him.
I felt like once I read Gen Z 1 and 2 from Barna Research and then read this, it's kind of like. But I did like this book because they talked about the good things that Gen Z's doing and to stay resilient, and so I liked listening or reading that. I'm playing through The Witcher 3 right now.
Oh man, there's a new Witcher anime with the same Geralt voice.
Oh, really?
That's The Witcher 3. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I saw the trailer with the one with Ciri being the...
Oh, Witcher 4?
Yeah, and so I was like, ooh, I'm about to go play through it. And so figured out my Xbox will run 120 hertz at 1440p. It was just a simple setting.
Yeah, stupid.
On my Xbox. That was like insane. But anyways, really looking forward to 2025 and it's going to be a good year. So,
all right, Zach?
I am reading She Deserves Better. And I'm reading Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, which has been slow. I need to suck it up and power through it. Yeah,
because I've actually been reading Divine Conspiracy.
Hell yeah! That's how Dallas Willard want me to react to that
slowly because little brain, Dallas Willard, big brain. And then I'm reading Wind of Truth.
Yeah,
the sequel,
the fifth.
Yeah, the fifth of that series, which is
Wheel of Time.
Is it good so far?
No, it's Stormlight.
Is it good so far?
Yes.
I'm not in a hurry to finish those books because he's already said that there's going to be a big gap between 5 and 6, so I've got time. And then we're rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is always a good one.
Great show.
I think, and playing just random video games. So.
I am reading another Willard book to start the year. Shocker. I think he's the most impactful author on my life at this point.
I remember him saying literally the same thing about James Comer.
Yep.
Yeah. But
you know,
John Mark Comer.
But you know who pointed?
That's like 3 episodes ago too.
Yeah.
You know what's happened though? I realized
It's the same.
John Mark Comer. Who was I having this conversation with? It was you last night. Comer really owes Dallas Willard a life debt because he has taken excerpts from, because now that I've read about 5 Willard books, his works, and made them
it's just distilled.
bite-sized.
Yeah, it's distilled version of it.
And that, I mean, he's pretty open about that now more and more. But Willard is like, if you like Comer's work, Willard's is Comer's expounded upon by 10. So yes, if I need to read it something more digestible, quick bites, I'll go to Comer. But Willard is just masterclass, amazing. So I'm reading The Scandal of the Kingdom: How the Parables of Jesus Revolutionized Life with God by Dallas Willard. Freaking amazing. Really, really enjoying it. Playing Star Wars Outlaws currently, and going to Disney this weekend. So can't wait for that.
I already said what I was reading.
No, that was it. I was just saying if you had anything else.
No,
everybody good? We did it? All right.
We did it.
Well, this has been another episode of Mostly Focused, a Mostly Daddy edition. You're calling us Daddy? Daddy? This is for you to zoom in at the end, JP, while I'm doing my calling us. Garrett, just give me one calling us Daddy.
Calling us Daddy.
That's good. That's all I needed.
Key too. Wow.
Yeah, that was good. All right.
Get this man on stage.
Who sings that?
Mario.
Twista.
Ooh. Make you celebrity overnight. Wait, that him?
Nope.
Who was that?
What a great way to end the show.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. We love you.